All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's meeting of, actually, I'm going to share another slide now. What the working title for this event we're calling Crypto Mondays Zoom. Where is it? There you go. Can you see my desktop now?
Shall I stop sharing? That might help.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Okay. Nice. So is mine up now?
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome everybody to what we're calling Crypto Mondays Zoom. Um, you know, just real quick, most of you probably very familiar with Crypto Mondays, but we're up to 63 active chapters across 20 countries, more than 150,000 members, largest IRL event community in Web3. We go to major events. We'll next be at ETH Denver in 12 days. And Token 2049, I'll be back in Dubai in April for that. And Nicholas and I met at Token 2049 in Nicola in Singapore at the last one, which is, and I think if I could only go to, one event it would be East Denver, two would be Token 2049 would be the second. And then with regards to Crypto Mondays, also 11 ch new chapters are in the process of starting. And we've been, including like Andorra, which is crazy because it's a whole country with only like 84,000 people. I'm excited. Portimao in Portugal. That's going to be the fifth one that we've got in Portugal. And so the idea of Crypto Monday Zoom is just simply to extend the brand virtually. We used to do these calls. Uh, we used to do them. How often did we do them?
Three
Well,
times a week.
yeah, 3 times a week. It was crazy. It was a lot of work. And then we stopped for a while. So now we're bringing it back, renaming it Crypto Monday Zoom for the time being. And uh, uh, yeah, and doing basically the same thing, just getting people here that we want to learn from, and we think others in the community can learn from who are doing interesting things. Um, and it's also add more utility for existing members, community members, and I think it's a great way for people to get introduced to the brand around the world, so that they can either then start attending crypto Mondays in their cities, or start one in their cities if one doesn't exist. Real quick, kind of the major project that we're focused on outside of the meetups is Agent Monday, and it's the decentralized community management AI agent. We've been working on it for a while. Progress has not been fast, but what has, we are making progress, continuing to work on it. If you have an interest in that, reach out, and we invite you to the regular meetings that we have on that. And out of that, because when we started building it, very quickly we realized that there's a laundry list of issues, and anybody building decentralized AI agents is solving. So we started the Decentralized AI Agent Alliance, DAIA, just so very much similar to Crypto Mondays, and in the meetups where the parent just helps the individual chapters here. The parent diet just helps if somebody wants to start a subgroup to solve a problem, they start a subgroup. And we just had our 1 year birthday, and we're up to more than 180 founding members. So, real quick, that's what we were up to at Crypto Mondays. And now I'm excited to turn it over to our featured guest today, Sheraz Ahmed with Storm Partners, and he's also got his partner Nicola with him. And actually, I just met Sheraz in at Davos, and it was actually, I'm trying to remember, what event did we meet at? Was it at?
I was at the USA house.
Oh, was
Funny
it
enough.
the USA House? Was a fun place to hang. Um, yeah, and I thought that the work that he's doing in terms of token mergers, it's something there's been a growing chatter about, right? You have all these, for lack of a better word, dead tokens or weak tokens, and it certainly makes a lot of sense, for them to combine. And so that's one of the things that Sherrod worked on, does, including working on the biggest merger to date of token companies, which is the ASI merger. So but the practice is a lot more than that. They've been around for a while, and you want to start with just kind of talking about I know you've got kind of a whole view of L1s and kind of the history and where we're at today. So I think, that could be a great place to start.
Cool. Yeah, with great pleasure. Thanks, thanks, Lou. And yeah, I guess we can.
Yep. Hold on a moment. I will stop doing that. But in the meantime, you don't have slides, so
No, no, exactly. I was just kind of gonna unshare
yeah. Can you
the
unshare that?
screen.
Yeah. Robin, you
You
need to
want me to
unshare?
take a slide down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
stop sharing, or is that me? Oh, that's you. Oh, you didn't want to admit any of the note takers? Robin,
Yeah.
can you stop sharing?
I'm not sharing anymore.
Okay,
Okay.
somebody is
Well,
sharing. Is that me?
I tried to like share and unshare, but I think it has to come directly from your screen. Lou, maybe on the Zoom app itself.
Yeah, sorry about that. Doot, 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 doot. Yeah, so how do I stop sharing now?
Yeah, it
One
should be
is
in the app. I don't know about the.
okay. Well, I'm going to leave. That's the easiest way to do it. And I'll come back and it'll let me in, but that'll stop me sharing.
Cool. Thanks, Lou. Technical problems for technical industry.
Yeah.
Happy to yeah kick it off whilst Luke comes back. Yeah, look, it's great to be here today. Thanks so much for having us. I think on this premiere of the Crypto Mondays Zoom as kind of a recall. It was really great to also have Nicola here with me because there's only so much I can say without him being present on the whole token merger side. Because I think behind every great idea, there's always someone that structures it. And it's Nicola and his team that have been working quite significantly and hard on making a lot of that possible with some of the biggest industry players. So maybe to give a little bit of insight into who we are as a firm and how we got to where we are today. So I've been active in the digital asset space for the past 10 years, the firm for the past 5, and we've been really working at the forefront of trying to enable Web3 companies and projects. And one of the things that we've seen over the past couple of years is actually sometimes enabling them is actually looking at the industry as a whole and understanding, okay, what other actors are trying to do something similar from a vision and mission perspective, and how could maybe the ability to either close some form of strategic partnership or actually further to be able to merge together and ally themselves would allow for economies of scale and just being able to, yeah, for trying to achieve the same objective, trying to get to the same destination. Why would we use 2 cars when actually using one would be cheaper and maybe more efficient? And so we've realized and seen in the market that there are a lot of companies that have raised millions of dollars yet are not able to achieve that. So I think one of the first ones that kind of set us on this journey was the advent of actually the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, where these are 3 AI and blockchain companies that were aware of each other, knew each other, and wanted to, let's say, kind of achieve, let's say, the artificial general intelligence around the world. And they had this mission, but they were all looking at it from different perspectives. One was looking at it maybe more from the ecosystem perspective, the other data, the other from the agentic side. And so instead of each one of them creating what the other one was working on and to try to be the lone wolf in the ecosystem, coming together and bringing and merging, let's say, their forces was really a vital component to that. So maybe Nicola, as you were kind of there when they were even discussing this as a possibility, maybe you can give some context then to the audience as well, or maybe I guess someone has their hand raised. I don't know if we take questions after, but maybe Nicola, you want to just kind of give some context on, before M&A was cool in Web3 and crypto. I mean, how did
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
mean, even
conversation?
before every anyone really thought it was possible, actually. And I mean, as it often happens for legal counsels, like one day you had a phone call from a client and they tell you we want to do this, and then you need to figure out how. And this is how it happened. I mean, we have been the legal advisors of SingularityNet for a very long time, and then one day I got the call from their CFO saying, we are thinking to do that, and how is it possible to do it? And this whole thing of the token mergers was something that I remember it was maybe discussed from a theoretical perspective between, let's say, lawyers in regulatory groups and so on, or at least those are the conversations I was part of. But this ASI merger was really the first, at least large scale merger of three different tokens.
It was like what, $3.2 billion at the time, right?
Yeah, when the merger was implemented. So that now, I mean, I don't know what side we have to explain the whole story, but it was really a process that involved also the communities. There were like the SingularityNet community had to vote and approve the proposal for the merger, so all the token holders. So also the implementation didn't happen in one day. When the implementation happened and they opened the bridges for swapping basically the tokens into FAT that became the new ASI token, the market cap I think was 3.2, 3.3 billion. So the size of the merger in itself was very significant, not only for the crypto market, but really for any sort of metric of M&A transactions.
Yeah. And I mean, we go into a little bit more detail as well, I think, in the Q&A, if any of the audience have any questions specific to the ASI Alliance. But I think the objective today as well was to discuss, because this happened approximately a year and a half ago. And since then, I think we've seen the advent of token mergers, maybe a bit less, but acquisitions in the industry happen more. And I think as we kind of slide more and more into this bear market that we're in today, we do see, and we have been witnessing a lot more layer one protocols that, you know, there was definitely an abundance of them, or still is. A lot of other, let's say, industry players that are either forcefully kind of coming together or being bought up. I have some comments on that, but Nico, do you want to kind of start and maybe share with the audience kind of that the evolution of like this kind of thought of 1 year and a half to where we are kind of today?
Yeah, when we advised SingularityNet on the ASI merger, and there was all the work there. Again, it was something very new. Then it stopped being something new in the sense that the market saw that, and then other people thought, well, we could do this as well. And between, let's say, for sure during 2025, there has been a big trend for M&A operations in crypto. Some token mergers, not many, but a lot more traditional M&A operations in which large players such as Kraken, Coinbase, Ripple purchased a lot of other projects. Interestingly, a lot of centralized exchange started their DeFi arm and started purchasing DeFi platforms and built, often like from a legal point of view, is a separate branch. And they really, well, they invested effectively into DeFi by purchasing these other platforms. And this M&A trend, I don't think is going to go away. I actually see more and more operations coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's more and more happening. However, one of the sad parts for me is the fact that some of them don't happen. I mean, like we've worked on probably around, let's say, 20 over the past, year and a half, 2 years, but let's call it a majority of those, probably 80%, never went anywhere. And I think the unfortunate part to that was not that they didn't go anywhere because there wasn't the right strategic fit, and that, let's say, from an industry perspective, it wouldn't have been better to go forward. It didn't work out from like an ego or a human perspective, which is one of the challenges I think we are facing, the industry is facing today. I mean, what are, maybe if you want to touch on the human perspective, but maybe there are other reasons why some of these things haven't worked out as well, which, I mean, we can talk about some that have, of course, in a bit, but what, like, do you want to give an extra comment to the ones where that didn't kind of work out, and maybe, to provide some alpha to the audience as well? Like, let's kind of discuss as well a point if any of the entrepreneurs in the audience are looking to maybe even sell their company or acquire another company? What are some things they need to like look out for, and kind of the traps they shouldn't fall into?
Okay. Definitely personal ego has been a factor in the failure of many M&A operations. I think it's always a combination of multiple factors. I think the starting point is that fundraising in our industry has been easy for a long time, and also achieving high valuations has been easy for a long time. And so now when you discuss M&A operations and there needs to be a price tag attached to it, and so an evaluation of a project, it's difficult both from an ego perspective, but also from other perspectives, to accept a much lower evaluation than what was the valuation the market was giving you a couple of years ago. I think that was a big barrier. And then a bit of, let's say, unrealistic perspectives about the future, as well as then a lot of other factors that make M&A operations fail. There are a lot of good reasons for doing them, but you need to be very practical and objective about those reasons in order to then, let's say, go forward with it.
Yeah, I think to that point, one of them that was a little bit, tricky was always the projects, of course, and a lot of them in the industry have raised capital on a token, done an ICO, whatever it is, and that they see their FTV or their market capitalization of, let's say $100 million, and that they expect to be able to sell their company for, let's say, $20-50 million, and they expect to be able to sell their tokens and their token supply for an equal amount, where actually, let's say, the liquidity or the volumes on that token are in the millions, not even in the tens of millions. And so even if you wanted to be able to sell, let's call it 1% of the tokens, it would drop the price by 20-30%. So you might only be able to get out a dime on a dollar for what you'd be able to kind of sell there. And I think that's a lot of deals that have often gone wrong for token reasons, less than even, let's say, the company and the technological reasons as well, right? Like in terms of it's a lot of overinflation. I mean,
yes, we can also, let's say, flip the board and look at the deals that went through and why. Because in the end, the things that we have seen when the deal was successful, there were some common traits as well. For instance, one thing that I was really glad about when we did other token mergers is that there was attention to the token holders, in the sense that maybe two projects weren't able to deliver really the utilities that they wanted to deliver to the people that bought the token in the first place. And then they said, well, actually, if we put our communities together, if we put our products together, we're able to deliver more value to our community. And so there was also a sort of community first approach that made, let's say, other things less important and enabled the projects to move forward on a common path. Also, some more practical assessments of the situation, like we have these many months of runway, we have this amount of revenues and so on, and building an evaluation based on those criteria that are more objective rather than the token valuation and other criteria that are a bit less objective. Also, I mean, everybody knows that token valuation is something that you need to look at also circulating the volumes and what happens if you start selling them. If it's going to drop vertically, then it's not really a fair valuation.
Yeah. Lou, nice to have you back.
No, I've been here the whole time.
Oh, you've been there? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. No, it's been very interesting. One of the things that you talked about it that, that obviously comes to mind is, to what degree when things don't work out, do you guys feel, well, I think obviously in the, TradFi, there's a lot more, fiduciary responsibility that's enforced, less so obviously in the token world. How do you think that affects what happens?
So, well, coming back to the ASI case, it is a case in which things didn't work out really well. I mean, it's in the public domain. Everybody can look it up. Ocean at some point decided to leave. Also, in a very painful way for the community because they decided to liquidate. Now, I don't want to speak a lot about that because there are some active proceedings. But anyway, the point is really the structure of the deal, though. Like you can anticipate those kind of situations and you can create a framework of rules and checks and balances to prevent certain outcomes. Also, one thing that is important to consider is that there is a very big difference between a traditional M&A operation and a token-based M&A operation. In a traditional M&A operation, you really need to merge organizations. So you end up having a common team and so on. In a token-based merger, it's not necessarily like you need to merge the features, you need to merge the infrastructure, but you could maintain effectively independent organizations. This can be an advantage, but it's also potentially a disadvantage if you then don't have enough, let's say, coordination and common decision-making mechanism. And then maybe a third aspect that I would consider is really the alignment between the founders, like the key people that will then lead or drive the car from that moment on. Like they need to be on the same page. There needs to be alignment on the purposes and on the route and the way in which to proceed. So let's say these, to answer your question more strictly, there are some legal instruments, let's say, that you can use in order to protect the community, protect the outcome, and ensure, let's say, a better outcome. But then there are a lot of other elements that are not legal, that are more related to people, business, purposes, goals, and so on.
When you look, I mean, do you, as if you were, or maybe you are an investor, do you see, gosh, I think these tokens, are maybe ripe for merger, and thinking about that too as you build, your business, is it mostly inbound people saying, hey, we need help with the merger, or are you calling people say, hey, have you thought about merging? It's a great way to, maybe give value to your token holders.
So,
I mean,
yeah, Shaz, you can go with that.
Look, both definitely. I think there's a whenever you speak about M&A as an acronym, every entrepreneur gets quite excited. I think for a lot of us, it's kind of the dream scenario to be acquired, right? It's that shining star that seems very far away, but sometimes is not. So it is a topic that we raise when we're discussing that we're working on this type of deal with other clients. People very often, I don't think there's ever been a case where a client hasn't said, oh, like, could this fit for us? Like, what do you think? Like, and everyone always wants to kind of be able to ask that question. So it happens on both sides. We of course do a decent amount of reach outs on when we're looking at the sell side for some of our clients. And kind of understanding buy side as well. Actually, it kind of happens on the two. But then I think it's really to Nicola's point that he raised. One of the concerns is that if, for example, the CEO wants to continue being the CEO from a business commercial standpoint, and there's another CEO that is more business and commercial, the likelihood of the merge or the acquisition failing is extremely high, unless maybe there's a segmentation where that person becomes the CEO of a specific DeFi platform and the other CEO is there for the centralized, let's say, platform. However, where it's worked very well is, for example, where, let's call it a scientist, a developer, an engineer has been put in the place of a CEO, and actually he never wanted to be the commercial or business person, but it was he founded the tech or she founded the tech, and it just kind of happened to be so. And by this acquisition, they can go back into research and go back into the things that they love. Whereas, let's say, the acquirer can take that tech, can bring it to market, can acquire better users, and there the symbiosis is much more efficient.
Makes sense. As the market's been evolving now, kind of what how has it been changing?
There's a lot of distressed assets on the market. And look, it's a good and a bad thing. I mean, we've been speaking for the past, I don't know, like half a decade about how, the bear market is going to wipe away all of the altcoins and the meme coins and the shit coins. And it's never really happened because a lot of those coins have had a lot of money in their treasury, so they've just survived long enough. But now we're getting to the point where there's a lot of entities that really are running out of runway that are doing some amazing things. So a lot of distressed assets on the market, and I think there's a lot of opportunities there where some very smart people can come together if they can put their ego to the side to be able to build some amazing things. So I think those that decide not to do that, I think are going to fade away. There's going to be a huge consolidation. We see it already happening, and so but out of that, I think out of that, there's going to be some amazing deals and some amazing opportunities that have come from it. Some of which we're working on at the moment that are very exciting to us and to the players that we're working with. And so I think there's always opportunities in kind of, let's say, these downturns. And I think it's important maybe for founders, CEOs to be maybe brave in that way, put their ego to the side, and they can do some amazing things. And I think that's the beauty of the industry. The Web3 industry has always been very collaborative. We've had to kind of huddle together whilst the world shun us for who we were or are. And so now that, the banks and a lot of other regulated players are coming in and they want to kind of get to know us and see what we're doing, there are opportunities there if we can just be a bit more humble, be a bit more collaborative. We can do some amazing things together.
Makes sense. If anybody else in the audience has questions, raise your hand. We'll start taking questions if we have any. But obviously, you guys, as bankers, have macro views as well. Where do you think we are from a macro standpoint?
Macro views, and I'll let Nico as well chime in here too, because he works with a lot of these regulated players. I'd say it's quite interesting to hear that, for example, we've worked quite closely with Circle back in the day, and hearing from one of their senior executives that who used to, run a crypto platform, and they would say the word crypto, I guess, every day, if not every other day, that they mentioned to me that over the past year, 2025, they didn't mention once the word crypto. And it's only, digital assets and blockchain technology, etc. And so it is interesting to see how we are being rebranded as an industry to fit their model a little bit more. And so it is happening. I think the US opened up, I think, a lot of the eyes to the world and made it kind of a little bit more reasonable to kind of get involved in this industry. I work a decent amount with the Crypto Valley Association, so one of the largest nonprofits in Switzerland related to the industry. And they're hosting a banking symposium in a few weeks. And I was speaking to the president today, who was telling me that he was like very positively surprised about the amount of banks and institutions that are joining the event, like never before seen, right? I mean, UBS used to hate crypto, the Pictet, Lombardier, like all these large, private banks, etc., that would they've said on tape that they would never get involved in this industry, are now, because digital assets doesn't sound as frightening as cryptocurrency does. Yeah.
All we need to do is change the name.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for RWA, right? I mean, security tokens were a bit too aggressive, and then it's like, oh, these RWA things make a lot of sense, or asset reference tokens, etc. I mean, yeah.
My view, I mean, it's kind of complementary. The thing is, I would try to be very objective here. Blockchain is doing great. Blockchain-based payment methods, aka stablecoin, are doing great. Their volumes of payments are increasingly. There are very interesting statistics showing the usage of stablecoin to manage transactions below $1,000, in particular in emerging economies, to manage money remittances for workers that have to send money home. Their adoption is increasing by a lot. blockchain-based securities and blockchain-based, let's say, financial instruments are doing great. NISA announced a blockchain-based infrastructure. Citadel Securities announced blockchain-based infrastructure. Nasdaq is doing it. And every
Yeah.
major player in the financial industry is adopting blockchain technology. So why our portfolios are down so much? Because
Well,
utility
Nico, my
token.
stablecoin portfolio is doing great. It's just stable. It's not going down.
Yes, of course. But I mean,
You didn't have any Terra Luna?
Oh.
never had like it. But utility tokens are doing bad. Why? I think that, guys, I mean, probably a lot of people that are here have been in the crypto industry for a while. We know the reasons. We know that there has been a time in which VCs were telling every project, you need to have a token, otherwise we will not invest in you. And then a lot of projects that maybe had a great product, a great idea, created a token out of nowhere in 5 minutes with a very poor tokenomics. And then the token was, I mean, I don't want to swear, but was bad, was not conceived correctly. The tokenomics was not strong enough. It went to zero. But maybe there is a product. The product was good. It was just the tokenomics that was not conceived correctly. And a lot of business models related to token were not conceived correctly. It was an immature, let's say, industry. It was very easy to raise. Also, let's say, the market often rewarded not the best behaviors, rewarded projects that were creating a lot of hype, that were also, let's say, misrepresenting their perspective and so on. So there needs to come that like that adjustment. And I think that token mergers are actually a way to do that. Because if there are projects that have strong products, but the token, for some sort of reason, the tokenomics was poor or whatever, went to zero.
Sure, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it is a good opportunity to give new life to a project that has a reason to exist.
Instead of like a super app creating the super token, the super utility token, merge all the like everything under the top 100, just merge it all, and then we'll have the market cap of Ethereum. There you go, super token.
Well, one of the speakers, we did Crypto Mondays did two cohorts of an AI Web3 accelerator, and it was actually the guy who was co-running it with me made a presentation one day, and he made what I hadn't really thought of before, but makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he said that made the point that your token economics is more important than your product
It's
because
true.
yes, yeah, exactly. Because if you have bad token economics, you don't have a company. It doesn't matter how good it is. This is what you're
But
and there are a lot of people there, now in that position. And that makes a lot of sense that they've got a good product but bad token economics, and they can fix that with a merger.
true, and also the point for those projects that they're not able to raise. Like I have been having clients that had a great product that, for a variety of reasons, didn't get the tokenomics correctly. Their token went down, and then every time you try to speak with an investor to do multiple financing rounds, they look at the token, and so they're not going to give you any money.
Yeah.
And so for these kind of projects, token mergers, it's actually the only sort of way out.
Yeah. It's it's from the way you guys are talking, it seems like we're gonna have a lot more of these coming up.
But I mean, let's
I
also,
hope
guys, there
so.
are too many utility tokens out there. Like, if we want to revitalize this market, we need to have a more mature market in which the tokens are delivering actual utility to who uses them, so that they have a real economic value and the market can get back to a better shape.
Okay. Yeah.
And let's go back to the values of on which the industry was created, right? It wasn't just to kind of like make money. There was a lot of innovation back in the days. There was a lot of desire to kind of create, quote unquote, this kind of new digital economy. I think, as Nicola mentioned, we were kind of blinded by all this ICO money that could come in, and let's make this token. But we can go back to our roots if we are to merge, certain tokens together that have the same vision and mission with some great teams. I think we can get there again, actually, back to some of those core values. And yeah, it's a shame that, let's say, the consolidation has to happen and we have to lose a lot of money to make it possible. But I think it's for the greater good.
Yeah, well, look, it's capitalism, right? People get overexcited, you get a bubble, get a crash. Pretty sure it'll come back again. Well, look, this has been a super interesting conversation. I'll I ask the audience again if anybody has a question, raise a hand. But I'm good, and this has been great. So, guys, thanks a lot for coming and taking the time. I know it's late. What is it? 6 hours later? Oh, we did have a hand, Sean.
Yeah, yeah, 7:40.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so curious.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was so curious about your guys' thought on the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance because sort of my thoughts of them were really different than your guys's. So like I mean what I saw when I looked at them was like really no sort of like strong product. The problems they were working on, like they were talking about like post-humanism in a lot of their communications and projects and like ethical treatment of AIs and really problems that we won't have to deal with for like the next 50 to 100 years. And then finally it all fell out. There was no legal or regulatory documentation protecting the mergers, protecting the token holders, and Ocean sold a bunch of fetch tokens like a week before the
Hey,
separation of the
Sean.
merger.
Sean.
Yeah,
Right, right. And so, right there's, I think they mentioned that there's a lawsuit going on. So they're probably only
yeah.
gonna.
No,
Oh,
but I
gotcha,
mean,
gotcha.
I can provide some insights. Like Sean, is not that there was none, there was not enough, which is different. Um, I mean, we could have a beer and I could tell you the whole story. It takes an hour, but yeah, there were protections, but I mean, of course, from the point of view of the user, you can legitimately say, well, those protections didn't work. Fair enough. That's a good, let's say, criticism, but it's not that there were none. There were, but they were
Yeah,
circumvented.
we'll see how the lawsuit goes. Sorry for trying to
But
make
Maybe
you
if I
I
can
break
think
speak
any
to
NDAs or anything.
if I can speak to the vision and mission side, I mean, I think there were products, and there are products today related to, a decentralized chat GPT that are operational, that work very well. There's also some agentic AI functionalities that work quite well. There was, let's say, of course, this long-winded kind of vision, I think that you need to maybe crazy vision that you need to have a little bit when it comes to, let's say, the 50-year ahead future of what will happen with, or what could be dystopian with regards to it as well. And maybe if I add not to the legal part, but maybe to the debacle of what happened. Sometimes in Web3, we try to kind of do things very, very fast, sometimes too fast. It's maybe where traditional finance kind of humbles us a little bit by taking things slow. And, I think kudos to ASI for trying it as well. I mean, I think they were the pioneers in it. There was none other that really tried. They did. I think they did their best. And there were, let's say, some areas of improvement that we're now aware of. They were blindsided in a few areas, but I do believe that hopefully they, not only their legacy, because they're far from being gone, but they will be able to support others in creating the right precedent to enable this thing to happen even more successfully than it did for ASI in the future.
Yeah, but also, I mean, just to complement to that, they are far from being gone. Like,
Yeah.
it's true that what happened, like in terms of the token and market impact, was huge. But from a technological impact, it wasn't. For instance, they are continuing. They are building as they were building before. They have a side chain scheduled for release. Ben is still there, and the vision is still the same. So, I mean, this is also, I mean, Lou, a bit what we were saying before, like there is this big detachment between what happens in the market and what happens like with the products and so on. From the product side, basically almost nothing changed.
And also, I mean, I think we're all aware that the, mergers are like marriages. Most fail.
I think there is a
That's what.
person with a
So
question.
we've got so thanks, Sean. Will.
Hey guys, it's my first time here with this group. My name is Will. I'm actually an electric car manufacturer. So you see my photo behind me, there's this little tiny car. We're actually building one of the world's first RWA tokenized platform for manufacturers. So we're leading manufacturing suppliers and essentially getting them tokenized and decentralized the
Is there a
products.
question here?
Yes. So I'm looking and seek advice from you guys to develop RWA and tokenize products. And so we're just working on a white paper right now. We should be done this weekend. And I hope to get some advice from you guys.
Reach out. We are happy to.
Yeah, probably best conversation to take it offline. But I know that Nicola is a huge fan of tokenization and put it on, let's say, the objective of this year, more RWA. So I think he'd
Okay.
be helping our KPIs.
So if
Sure.
folks in the audience want to get in touch with you, how should they do that?
Our
Yeah,
website.
Yeah.
website or our full names, Sheraz.Ahmed, Nicola.Massella@storm.partners. So that's our email addresses.
You guys are probably already on the email that you guys sent out, right?
Generally, I mean, I sent out, with Crypto Mondays sent out the email. So,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll reach it back out to you guys.
okay.
Yeah, website,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, whatever is
But just,
easiest.
our website is storm.partners. Easy to find.
Yeah. No, but cool. Thank you,
Cool.
Lou, for giving
Thanks,
us the
Will.
platform to share. It was really, really cool, and hopefully inspired some people as well to look at consolidating and coming together a little bit more. A little bit of, let's say, hope for 2026.
Okay, well, terrific. Well, thanks everybody for showing up, and look forward to seeing lots of you at the next Wednesday at the next Crypto Monday Zoom. See ya.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank
Bye.
you.